Hi, I'm going to get right into it because I don't have a lot of storage on my phone. So this is my taking a stand on early sports specialization that I did with Mercedes. I'm going to read the questions, answer them, and try to go as fast as possible so I don't waste too much time. Okay, so why are you interested in this topic? What is it about this topic that's important to you? So I'm interested in this topic because I grew up playing a lot of sports, but not just playing a lot of organized sports, also just being able to play a lot and having a really diverse physical activity experience. Playing outside, playing on hay bales, playing in the river, cross country skiing, kayaking, swimming, making forts outside, climbing trees, all that stuff, as well as all the organized sports that you'll see in our slideshow presentation. We have pictures there. So it's important to me that for that reason. I love being able to play a lot of sports and to just have fun and be a kid. And I think that really contributed to who I am as a human being. And seeing a lot of people specialize so young, I feel like it takes all of that experience away from them. And nowadays it's more and more prevalent in our society to specialize early. So that's another reason why I think it's important to investigate. Also, like, I had chances where I could have specialized at a young age and I didn't, and I'm really glad I didn't. But looking back, but before, I thought I was kind of sad that I didn't, but now I'm super grateful about it. And I have peers who specialize in sports early and I never even got to see them, and I just know the toll that took on them. So a lot of reasons I'm passionate about early sports specialization, like all the negative effects that it has on kids. Next thing, why is this topic so why it's worth investigating, especially with physical activity in children and youth? So I kind of talked about that. One of the main things I think it's worth investigating is because it's becoming way more prevalent, and because we don't really fully know all the effects that early sports specialization actually has on youth. So like in our research for our presentation, for example, we saw a lot of data, and it's becoming more popular, but they don't truly know all of the negative effects that early sports specialization actually has on child development. So I think that's why it's really important to talk about, because there are a lot of negative effects linked to it, but we still need to do more on figuring out how and why and ways to mitigate these effects. Okay, so who our audience is, why you pick this audience. So our audience is kind of diverse. We have all the way from like a micro level to parents, parents of children who are specializing in sports, parents of children who want to specialize in sports, coaches of those elite programs themselves, as well as board members of governing bodies of sport associations that specialize with children and youth. So all these people who can make change, and we know that change can happen on many levels, and it often should happen on many levels in order to create the best possible outcomes and be the most effective. So that's why our audience is a little bigger, and that's why we picked that audience. What is our stand? So as I said, our stand is negative. It's discouraging. It's or discouraging early sports specialization. There's nothing wrong with wanting to do good in sports and enhance your sport performance, but so early, especially because the two main things we talk about is sports specialization is defined by excluding all sorts of other sports, as well as being year-round training. So you're not getting that diversity, you're not getting to develop your physical literacy in numerous ways, you're not getting a break from it, and it causes a lot of, in our research, how the question asks research, it's linked to mental, like negative mental effects on your mental well-being. So things like anxiety and stress in such young athletes, which shouldn't be a thing. You should be able to just be young, have fun, be a kid, develop, engage in risky play, spontaneity. You're supposed to be just having fun at that age, like not governed by other things. And when you're in a sport so young and putting all these strict rules around what you do, when you do it, how often you do it, what you eat, when you sleep, what you're allowed to do, your curfews, it's a lot. And physical effects as well with overuse injuries. And I'm not gonna get too into it because it's already 4 minutes, but overuse injuries are also called chronic injuries, and these are after repetitive loads and strains on certain tissues that are often seen in older adults or possibly in professional athletes who don't have the proper rehabilitation and treatment. So the fact that young kids are getting more overuse injuries disproportionately in elite programs and sports specialization, that is a big red flag, at least in my opinion, and that shows that these kids are being overworked. So that was a really interesting and kind of unfortunate fact that we found in our research. And it's also important to research because, like I said, we don't know all the answers yet. So I think more research is just so important to really get concrete evidence on what we should and shouldn't be doing in terms of youth sports specialization. So calls to action, we have a list, so I'll just go from the list here. We kind of talk about, again, multiple levels of change, and I'm going to try to go fast because it's already 5 minutes, but one thing we talked about on more of like a policy making level of change would be having rules around the age that you should be before you specialize. So for example, having a criteria where you can't really specialize in one single sport until, say, you're 12 years old. So it gives that time for children to just have fun and have risky play, etc. Another one might be, in my hometown for softball, you couldn't play on an elite sport team unless you were playing on the Hudson Bay team. So that meant that some of my peers, for example, they go play on a AAA team, but they'd still have to play on our team, which just kind of made it a little bit more community-based and kind of, just made girls realize that, oh, this one sport isn't the only thing in the world that matters. And that way, you could see your friends a little more and just kind of develop that socialization, sense of teamwork and being a part of something. So that would be like another policy/procedure. And then another one would be a little bit more on like the micro level, kind of mid-level would be, or I guess a little more macro, but having coaches have to have training around early sports specialization and all the negative effects of it, so that they're aware of it beforehand and they can work towards mitigating these effects, as well as perhaps having within the coach's code of ethics, say like it could be a code of conduct for a certain association or code of ethics provincially, federally, etc., surrounding not, if you do notice these negative effects, to take a step back and just to reevaluate the purpose of your sport association. Is it are we having the right intentions with these early sports specializations, or is it all about just winning a team and these kids are just your way to get your money or to win, more like that. Also having parents just be more aware of it, holding like a TED Talk, little seminars, etc., stuff like that. That's ways to change. And then barriers, of course, to this would be people who won't believe in it. Already at 7 minutes. So people who don't believe in it, people who don't think it matters, people who don't think it's a bad thing, people who have opinions about this who don't want to, as well as just if there's already all these associations set in place, like these sports leagues in place, it'll be hard to change them since they've been thriving and working for so long, although there is a lot of negative effects that go unnoticed or unaddressed. But facilitators could be people like us in kinesiology who are aware and care about the topic, and we want to take a stand against it and find ways to make it better. Facilitators also would be people like myself or Mercedes, say if we do become coaches, to be able to kind of have an inside view on that and just be more aware of that. And then a question could be, for example, who do you think is responsible for early sports specialization? And my answer would be, there's no way to say for sure. There's some evidence saying that the coaches revolve around wanting to win and they are the ones who are strict with the sports specialization. There's also evidence to suggest that parents are the main cause of sports specialization, but I honestly think that it's a deeper rooted societal issue with just how our norms are changing as we change and as society changes. So we used to specialize in sports, at 20 you would just start getting into elite sports at 20, and then you'd have a few years there. But nowadays, not only are people playing elite sports later in life, but they're starting much earlier in life. So it's like societal trends, and there's no one person whose fault it is. But anyways, thank you so much for letting me submit this late. I'm going to try to submit it now. I was having issues with storage, so I'll hope this sends. So thank you so much.